Welcome back to a Timey Wimey Pod, where we watch every episode of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards. I'm Rebecca,
I'm Haley.
and today we are discussing The Waters of Mars.
How are we to the waters of Mars? The end of time is next week. That is
I
just so weird.
no, it's how are we almost done with the David Tennant era? Like, what? How did we get here? We just did Doomsday.
Yeah, this happened so much faster than I thought it would. We
Yeah,
got here so quick.
no, it's so crazy. But before we get into this whole episode, are you ready for some fantastic facts?
Yes.
So this episode aired November 15th, 2009. Where were you? What were you doing?
Mm, Such a good question. I was 8, so I was probably just living my best life as a kid, running
Mhm.
around with my brothers, being crazy, and counting down the days till Christmas.
Oh yeah, true. I had just turned 9, so
Mm.
pretty much the same, waiting for Christmas and being 9, doing whatever 9-year-olds do. I don't know. This episode was written by RTD and Phil Ford, who later writes Into the Dalek in Series 8.
Oh, I did not realize he wrote Into the Dalek.
Yeah, he's also done a bunch of Sarah Jane Adventure stuff. So,
Oh, cool.
and this episode is directed by the one, the only Graham Harper for the very last time.
This is his last episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He went out on a banger of an
Oh yeah,
episode, might I just
he
say.
really he really did. He really chose to go out with a bang. If you guys have been listening, you know that Graham Harper, he's done like all the iconic episodes. Like I feel like
Hmm.
him and Euros Lynn, they were like they were neck and neck in RTD one era, just doing all the iconic episodes.
They are both so iconic, and I'm so happy we have gotten them as directors in RTD1. They've both done an incredible job.
Hmm. Now, there's not too many interesting things about this episode, which is surprising considering it's such a big deal. But I feel like that weirdly happens a lot. Like the episodes that are so iconic, there's sometimes like not that many interesting things about them.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then there's the most random episodes that have the most interesting facts, and you would just never guess.
Yeah. But this episode was almost a Christmas special, which can you imagine watching this as a Christmas special?
It would be probably the darkest Christmas special, but it might be a little tea if it was, though.
Totally. So, when it was originally a Christmas special, some alternate titles were Red Christmas, Christmas on Mars, or Red Planet.
The Waters of Mars is just honestly the perfect title.
Perfect. I'm so glad they went with that. It works so well. It's so iconic. If it was a Christmas episode, Christmas on Mars. That sounds good. I'd watch that.
No, I will watch that too, but I also feel like I really do like the Waters of Mars, and I would be okay if the title itself wasn't Christmassy.
Same. I agree. So originally, when this was going to be a Christmas special, it would have featured the Doctor in this like eerie hotel while Earth is like frozen in time because aliens. But a main reason they didn't do that was budget reasons because it would have had the Doctor like wandering around in abandoned London, and obviously it's really expensive to abandon London and film a couple shots. So logistically, that wouldn't really work. And then when they were developing this episode, they realized it's better for like around Halloween because, yeah, this is not a Christmas episode at all.
No, it is most definitely not.
I want to know, like, what memories do you have of the first time watching this episode and like your initial reaction to the flood, the creatures in this episode?
The first time I watched this episode, I remember I was so traumatized by the flood. I don't know if I've fully grown out of that. Just there's something about watching this episode when you're younger and being traumatized by the flood that I don't know, it was just a core Doctor Who memory for me even though I was 13. But yeah, I was traumatized so much that it almost gave me the ick. It was a hard
Mm.
watch at first. What about you?
Yeah, I've talked before about how I rarely get scared by this show, mostly because I didn't watch it for the first time until I was like 13. So, a lot of the stuff just wasn't as scary the first time. But I remember like just the image of Maggie and like the water, it has always stayed with
Mhm.
me. Yeah, it looks so creepy. Like the broken skin around their mouths, like the eyes. Yeah, horrifying.
Horrifying. And this episode, might I just say, is the perfect sci fi horror episode. I've
Hmm.
mentioned before, or at least I think I mentioned before on the podcast, like I personally do not love horror, but when it is done in Doctor Who, I really like it. And I really like sci fi horror in Doctor Who because there's just something else about it.
Oh yeah. If you guys know our podcast, we already love this because we love anything on a base or space
Hmm.
station or a spaceship. So yeah, you already know we love this. Am I the only one that got whiplash turning this on and comparing it to Planet of the Dead? Because it immediately is just a huge quality difference from Planet of the Dead. Just the way it looks, the sets, like looking at that set of them just like on the base, you can tell like, oh, they put money into this episode. Like it looks so good and everything just felt like such a whiplash from after watching Planet of the Dead last week.
Oh, yeah. I definitely got some whiplash. It's been a while since I've watched this episode, so I honestly forgot how incredible the cinematography is in this episode and the visuals. Like the visuals of the TARDIS on Mars and Ten walking in his own spacesuit, the whole space station, and just the entire way this episode is filmed and the quality it has is so good and such a huge step up. Like, this was what filmed like 15 years ago. This episode, the quality in it, like, it has maintained that quality, if that makes sense. Like, I
Yeah.
look back and I'm like, there's aspects of this episode I can tell is like very 2009,
Mhm.
but the cinematography and the visuals, like, that is so good.
It's so good. Like everything just looks so good. I love the opening, just watching, even just from those initial shots of like Adelaide watching the video of her daughter, you can tell just like how good the
Mhm.
quality is in this episode. Imagine your mom going to space for 2 years, and imagine your mom living on Mars.
Dude, that's crazy. That would be the best thing for two truths and a lie.
I was like, I did not know where you're going with that. But yeah, that is the perfect two truths and a lie thing. Yeah, I really like how they develop this crew, which, okay, I wrote down everyone's like birth years because it really shook me. It really fascinated me the moment I realized Adelaide Brooke was born in 1999, which means she's our age. Like she was born a year before me, 2 years before you.
Ew, that's weirding me out. I don't like that.
I saw that watching this episode and it really took me out. It really, really took me out. I could not focus for the rest of the episode because I was just like, she's my age. It really took me out.
Like right now in 2025 in the Doctor Who universe, she's just walking about. Like, girl, imagine someone our age eventually going to space and like starting the first station on Mars or whatever. Like,
I know.
unreal.
I do you think we'll get to Mars by 2059?
There is no way with the way our world currently is, we can barely hold it together anywhere on Earth.
No. Unfortunately, I agree. Yeah, it would be cool, but
It's a long commute too. Like they
yeah.
were wasn't it like how long was the trip to get there? Didn't they say it was like 9 months or something?
I think they did say 9 months, which isn't the actual trip to Mars like way longer?
I feel like it's years.
Yeah, I have the number 14 years in my head, but I feel like there's no way that's true. That's way too long. I'm
It was
looking
a
it up.
minute. Like it was a long journey.
Okay, so right now it would take 6 to 9 months. Okay, so they were
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
If given the opportunity, would you go to Mars for like 2 years?
No, because the thought of traveling in space actually terrifies me to a level I cannot explain, and I don't know why I feel that way.
I think that's valid. I think most people these days are like kind of terrified of space.
Like, space is so cool and has always interested me, and like I've always had the thought of like, oh, it would be so cool to like go out to space, but the thought of actually doing that is a no-go for me. I will leave that to the astronauts.
I would love to go to space, like if ever given the chance, which will not happen. I would love to go. I would love to go to Mars, but yeah, I just know like in reality, I would hate it. I would be so anxious on the rocket going into space. Like, I would hate it. But if anyone has an extra seat on a trip to Mars, let me know. I'll be there. But back to everyone's ages. So Adelaide was born in 1999. Ed was born in 2008.
Ah, I'm like actually having a heart attack right now.
No, it's crazy.
You mean he's
It's
younger
crazy.
than my youngest brother?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, he's younger than my sister Hannah. That's crazy. Tarak, who I wrote down the name, but now I'm like, I don't know who that is.
The doctor on the base.
Okay. He was born in 2026, so next year.
Okay.
Yuri was born in 2032. So still a couple
Dang.
years. Yeah. Steffi, she's a little like 3-year-old right now. She was born in 2021.
How is she older than Yuri?
That makes sense. Like Yuri seems like a young lad.
No, that's true. She looks very youthful too. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Roman is the baby of the group, born in 2034. So we still got like 9 years before that guy's even born. And then Mia was born in 2032.
That's actually insane. Like
Yeah.
all of those years is blowing my mind right now.
That's why I was so shook. And I even texted you yesterday being like, Adelaide
yeah.
Brooke is our age. Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I don't know why. It's so dumb, I know, but that's blowing my mind.
Like the thought that some of these crew members aren't even alive yet. Who did you just say has 9 years until they're born?
Roman. Yeah.
I guess in 9 years I'm having a son and naming him Roman.
You have to. Yeah, yeah. And then I kept thinking about like the concept of one day being in 2059. Like one day we'll be able to watch this episode on November 21st, 2059, if we're alive.
You know, I can't think that far ahead personally. I can't go there.
So valid. So valid. I'll just say, I think when the day does come, like as Whovians, we really got to get together. We got to organize big party, every movie theater in the world where we're blasting this episode. Bring David Tennant out. He'll be looking like he does in Last of the. He'll be looking like he does in Last of the Time Lords. It'll be perfect.
I will be 58.
I will have just turned 59.
Yeah. And David Tennant will be 88.
Oh, okay, good. He'll still be around.
Yeah, but that's still so weird to think of him as that old in the future.
I know. It makes me sad sometimes to think about like him and like other actors and musicians from our time, and I'm like, dang, one day like I'm gonna see that they died and I'm gonna have to explain to my kids like they died, and they're gonna be like, okay, mom. And I'm like, you don't get it, they were a big deal.
Do you remember like back in the Tumblr days there was that really big meme that it was like,
yes you're driving, you hear on the radio Josh Hutcherson dead, you pull over, you cry. I remember that meme clear as day.
There's also another one where it's like you hear X person died and then you're like, okay, come on, Rose, come on, John Smith, come on, like all these names of the companions.
Yes. Sit down, kids.
I'm telling you the origin of your names.
Okay, but the article flashes, like, what do you think of all the flashes they do to the articles? Which the 2009 web design is so funny. I love it so much. But I personally really enjoyed the flashes. Like, sometimes I get annoyed when they put like so much text on screen, and it's like, how do you expect me to read that in 2 seconds? But I did really like it because, seeing these people in like a news article format, it really puts into perspective like how significant they are. And like, yeah, we get it. They're the first off-world colonists, but it really paints a picture like you can put yourself in the shoes of someone on Earth in 2059 and you can just imagine like how big of a deal these people are and like how big of an event this explosion on Mars could have been.
Yeah, I personally love the flashes of the website as well. And I think I really love that aspect too because it just, like you were saying, shows how real their impact is in this, in the show, in this universe. And I just always love that like flash of realism. I always love when I'm reading a book or I'm watching a show or watching a movie when they have just like real things like that, like websites and newspapers and news reporters. It just really adds to the world building. And I never felt like it was too much in this episode. I think they had the perfect amount. I don't know about anyone else, but I always like pause and read what's on the screen, take a moment. And it's fun. It's fun to like see that.
Yeah, I usually don't, or like I'll try to, but for this watch, I tried to pause on a couple of them and like read their thing. Like I forgot to write it down, so now I forget who it was, but it might have been the doctor on the crew. But one of them had like a gold medal
Oh,
from the
T, I
Olympic.
didn't see that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Imagine getting a gold medal at the Olympics and then being the first colony on
Ugh,
Mars. Like,
imagine being that guy's like brother.
what a resume.
Yeah. I've always just really loved the concept of this episode as a whole and how it shows like the doctor dealing with a national tragedy. Like this is kind of like the episode if the doctor had to deal with like the Challenger explosion or something like that. But obviously it's like a made up futuristic tragedy. But again, you can put yourself in the perspective of someone on Earth in 2059, seeing these events in the news or seeing them in the headlines. And so you can understand like, and also the David's like acting does a really good job, like his reaction to like meeting everyone and realizing they're dead. Like from his acting alone, you're able to realize like how significant these people are and how significant like this explosion and them all dying is. It's just always fascinating to me to watch this episode with the idea that this is like a historic worldwide tragedy. And in the beginning, it's like he's watching it all unfold, knowing he can't do anything about it.
That is such a good comparison, kind of comparing it to a real world tragedy that we've had in our history, like the Challenger explosion. I wasn't thinking of it that way, but as soon as you said all that, I was like, duh, like that's the entire point. Yeah, like this is such a big historic moment and Tin knows this. But honestly, the whole like underlying story of this episode is the Time Lord Victorious arc, and we'll get
Mhm.
more into that as we go along. But you really see the progression of this is a fixed moment in time. I of course care about saving these people, but I can't to at the very end he becomes something
Mhm.
different entirely. And yeah, like this whole situation, it has to happen. Like these people have to have this tragedy happen because of the impact and domino effect it has on history all down the line, even though it isn't fair and it isn't great that that's what the truth is.
Yeah, and I love how they play it too, and the writing is so good with this episode. Like just the little moments, and the doctor, turning to Mia and being like, "You're only 27 years old." Like I think about that line all the time.
Mhm.
Just like, oh yeah, and like because he knows she's dead and she's gonna die, and he's like, "You're only 27, and you're literally gonna die today." Oh, I have more ages because I wrote them down later in my notes. Margaret, she was born in 2028.
T, an Olympics year
Oh
kid.
yeah, LA, let's go. And Andrew, 2025. So there's a freshly born Andrew someone out somewhere out there maybe.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
Yeah, happy birthday.
I think it was Andrew, but one of the flashes of the article on the screen, I want to say it was him. It was like Andrew grew up in this like compound.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so like they even have like all of that backstory filled out for all of these characters, which I really like too.
Yeah, I think I only really read like Mia's, and like her
Mm.
whole thing was that her mom died in a car accident a year after she was
Mm.
born, and then she and her dad, they did some kind of work together, but don't ask me what.
What are our thoughts overall on this crew?
I like the crew. I think they're pretty iconic. They still aren't as iconic to me personally as Impossible Planet Satan Pit. I feel like our
Mm-hmm.
main focus, we're with Adelaide Brooke, and like that's
Yeah.
fine. Like because she's so good, she's so iconic, and her dynamic with the Doctor is so fascinating. You don't really need to get much from the rest of the crew, but the stuff we do see, way it's still way better than like Planet of the Dead, 42, those crews. Like we
Mm-hmm.
still get little bits and pieces from these people way more than we do with like past ensemble cast. I really like seeing Steffi, the when she dies and she turns on the video of her kids.
Were those her kids or her siblings? I couldn't figure it out.
No, those were her kids. And even in like her news article,
Oh.
it talks about her like having two kids.
Her whole demise is actually so sad. I know that's
It's
skipping way
so
ahead,
sad.
but it is so heartbreaking.
No, just her like trapped into a corner because of the water. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a rough one. And her just turning on the video to watch as she dies really
Yeah.
kills me. But what do you think about this crew?
I really like this crew. We definitely are really focused with Adelaide. I agree with you on that. But yeah, this is still a very like personable crew, even though we don't see much of all of them. They're great, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the little bits we see of Mia and Roman and Yuri. I feel like the things that they do give us, they do it really well to make us kind of feel for them even with the limited time that they have. And yeah, Adelaide Brooke is a fascinating character and definitely like probably one of the best captain characters we get on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing we've talked about before is like the kind of captain like characters that we see. And she's probably the best one. Like it's
Yeah.
if we're just going off of captains, I'm think I'm gonna put her ahead of the guy in Impossible Planet Satan Pit.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Such a strong character and such a strong woman. I love, love, love the writing of her in this episode
Hmm.
and how she sticks to her convictions and she is committed to her crew, but more importantly, she's committed to her mission and she is not willing to sacrifice history, which is not something many other people would choose. So I just really appreciate and love that about her. Something though that I'm always so curious about is what was the beef between her and Ed? Like what went on there?
Yes.
What did he do that was unforgivable? Like it reminds me of that one person in the Impossible Planet Satan Pit that we like never found out whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was like the truth about something.
Did your wife ever forgive you or something
Oh
like that?
yeah.
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 No, totally it's moments like that, like, Russell, this is why we love you. Like, this
Mhm.
is why we like go back to this, Russell. Go back to this. But yeah, I love that moment. You never could forgive me. And just her face, like, and you can tell from the beginning, like, there's something going on with those
Mhm.
two. My theory that, like, I don't think is true, but my kind of theory is that he is the father of her daughter. And they're just
Ooh.
like separated or whatever. But yeah.
That's tea.
Mhm.
I've kind of always felt like he was her second love, like after
Mm,
whatever happened to her daughter's father. But there was something on the mission that what's the wording? I think there was either something he failed to do on the mission or like he failed to do something correctly because he was kind of blinded with infatuation with Adelaide. And she
mm.
just couldn't forgive that because of how high and how serious the stakes were.
I think because he also has that line before he says, "You never could forgive me." I think he says, "You can never give me a chance" or something like that.
Oh.
So I do kind of just think he's like some kind of jilted lover, and like somehow
Mm.
they ended up like on this crew together because, of course, someone like as driven and as like focused as we can assume Adelaide would be, that's where you meet most of your jilted lovers is through your job at that point.
S- So true. And I think it's funny too that he's like, I could not stand this bloody job, which is like so funny.
Like, it doesn't seem that bad. Like, you're on Mars. That's cool.
Like, at what point have you felt that way? Where you like landed on Mars and started feeling that way, and you're like, well, it's too late. I can't exactly go back home.
Yeah. Good luck trying to quit that job.
We also have a little romance between Yuri and Mia.
Yeah. I always wish we got a little more. I think specifically, I wish we saw a little bit more of Yuri and Mia, just kind of like what their deal is.
Well, at the very end of this episode, with like the flashes of the news article, it looks like they're together and they're like,
It
we're the
does. Yeah.
survivors, we're shedding light, and I don't know. I kind of got that vibe, especially because Adelaide was like, watch over her at the end to him.
Totally, totally. I wish those like article flashes explained what they told the public about how they
Thank
got
you.
home.
Because that has been like an ongoing loop in my brain because it's like, what do you tell to the world to explain that Time Lord Victorious happened? Like, you can't just
Yeah.
say that.
Like, how did they get home though? Like, I
Exactly.
they explain this whole story, which, okay, taking a step back, I think the fact that they are able to get home kind of even preserves Adelaide's legacy in a greater way. Because before this happened, there was just like an explosion, and they knew like she
Mm.
put it into action, but like no one knew why. So I think the fact that they actually get to come home, and yes, Adelaide still dies. Well, we'll get to that, but the fact that they're able to explain and tell everyone like what Adelaide did, I think it benefits her legacy.
No, you're right. I can just see in the original timeline with there being so many unanswered questions, there would of course be all of these conspiracy theories of like,
Yes.
did she do this on purpose? Was it because of another country? Just kind of that whole like long list of things, and it
Yeah.
would be a little bit more messy. So I definitely agree with you. This really did cement her legacy. I'm very curious, like, what the world thought about like why she chose
Yeah.
that decision to end her life, because obviously we know, but the whole world doesn't know, and I don't even know if Yuri and Mia probably don't even know. So I'm very curious, like how, I don't know if this is the right phrasing, but like how that was framed for the general public, or if it was just
Yeah.
one of those things that just like was like, this happened, Yuri and Mia cleared most of it up, and we don't know why, but like let's respect uh Adelaide Brooke and her family.
Yeah, like imagine being Adelaide's daughter, like how she would feel about that. Like my mom came
Yeah,
home and then she did that must just be so confusing. So yeah, I do wonder that too, like how does that what's the public perception around her death?
definitely. Definitely. Also, it is so sad to me. Like, we lose four people. We lose Maggie,
Yeah.
we lose Andy, we lose Steffi, and then we know five. We lose Ed and we lose Roman.
Mhm.
Poor
Every
Roman. That poor kid with his poor robot. He just
I
wanted to control
know.
his robot and help out.
Yeah. Do you what are your thoughts on Gadget Gadget?
Okay, Gadget Gadget. I love a good gadget, but why was Gadget Gadget there?
I'm fine with it. I don't have any strong.
Yeah.
I'm not like I love Gadget, but I'm not hating on him. It does always kind of make me sad, like at the end when he's like out of range and he stops
Yeah.
working. I'm like, oh, kind of sad. But
And did Tin just leave him on the street?
yes, he sure did.
That man.
That's another thing where I'm like, who found that Mars robot, and what did they think happened?
Not only that, but the Mars robot was right outside Adelaide Brooke's home.
Oh my gosh, you're right. And then they go, oh, stop. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, it's
Okay.
literally insane. But speaking of robots, the moment in the beginning of this episode where Ten is talking about how much he dislikes robots and can't stand them, but as soon as Roman starts talking about robot dogs, Ten is like, "Oh, that's different."
Robot dogs are different. Yeah. No, I love that. And since when does he not like a funny robot? Be serious.
No, be so for real.
I love the beginning of the episode when it's like state your rank and intention. The doctor, fun, iconic.
So iconic. The transformation of Maggie just like blurred in the background as Yuri is watching the screen. Or not Yuri, the doctor. What?
No, it
Someone.
is it's Roman, yeah, I think. One of them.
One of them. Anyways, watching the screen. No, I think it is Yuri watching the screen. And in the background, you just see Maggie transform. By the way, anytime any of these people start transforming into the flood, it is so freaky.
Yeah. And she's just like looking at the pictures of Earth, and then she says, we should like that world. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Thank you. No, thank you.
Have you heard the conspiracy theory that the flood are like a precursor to the ice warrior? There's like some sort
Oh,
of
I
conspiracy theory.
haven't. I haven't, but that's interesting. I think, oh, there's a deleted line or a deleted scene where the doctor says that, the ice warriors were never really able to like defeat the flood, or they left Mars because of the flood or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, not that I'm like necessarily like, oh, bring back the flood, bring back the waters of Mars creatures. I wouldn't be mad if we did see them again.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I would love to see them back in some capacity.
Yeah, like I feel like we could up the stakes with them. Like the stakes are high, don't get me wrong, but like we could up the stakes a little bit more with like them trying to get to Earth. I'd really be interested to see that. And you know what? I want to see Adelaide Brooke's descendants because they sound really cool. Her daughter pilots the first light speed ship, and then like another one of her great descendants like marries some like alien prince, and they start like a whole new like human race basically. That's fascinating. Like I love like that whole scene of the doctor explaining to her family's legacy and like everything that her descendants do and her name and like what she started. It's so fascinating, and the way he explains it, it's like, oh wow, like this family really pioneers like the human race into space, and then eventually like a whole new race is created from this family line. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I would love to see her granddaughter, especially.
Yeah.
Like, I can just imagine the callbacks to Adelaide Brooke and the doctor stumbling across her and not knowing who she is at first. And
Hmm.
then being like, having a moment, being like, oh, you're Adelaide Brooke's granddaughter. And she's like, oh my gosh, how did you know her? And actually, that might turn dark.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would just love to, or even just like someone further
Yeah.
along, just someone, I don't know, it'd be really cool. And I love the connection to Journey's End in this episode and how, like,
Yes.
yeah, that this all just started because when she was a child, like the stolen Earth Journey's End happened. The image of the Dalek looking down at her and then turning away is so haunting. That always sticks
Yeah.
with me. And the idea that even the Dalek knew like she was too important to kill. That is so crazy to me, so haunting. And watching Adelaide in this episode realize and come to terms with why that happened. And that happened so her family can go out into the stars, and now she has to be the one to like preserve history and make sure that happens.
Yeah, that scene is just like absolutely unreal. Like to have the Daleks of all Doctor Who villains spare Adelaide Brooke because she was
Hmm.
that important is insane and crazy. And I love how she says that I knew that night that I would follow it. And Ten responds with, but not for revenge. And she's like, yeah, what would be the point of that? Like that line is
Yeah,
just so good.
I
There are
loved
so
that.
many good lines in this
Hmm.
episode.
Oh, I found myself writing down like whole chunks of dialogue because it's so
Yeah.
good. But I also love how that scene shows us like a consequence or impact of Journey's End because, yeah, that moment in human history should have been a big deal. Like everyone getting moved across the universe, and then the Daleks can't come. And we forget, like, they killed a lot of people.
Yeah, they did. There was so much they did that
Yeah.
just completely ruined people's lives and wiped them out. So I'm glad there was that mention of that because I feel
Hmm.
like that's not something we always get with Doctor Who. Like
No.
big moments aren't always remembered.
Yeah, which like I understand like that's like boring, but also, I appreciate moments like this. So I would like
Mhm.
to see it more.
Me too.
This is the last time we see the blue suit.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. This is the end of the blue suit.
Dang.
Here's my thing about the blue suit is I prefer the brown one. I just think I don't know, the brown one it does it for me. Like he just looks so
Mhm.
good. And it bugs me that the blue suit is on every piece of 10th Doctor merchandise. And I understand why, because from a design perspective, like the blue looks good color wise. It gives a nice contrast to like the figure, or like Haley has the like build a bear. So it's like a good contrast against the brown bear. But I'm like, I wish more merch had the brown suit. Like every
I agree.
10th Doctor's like always in the blue suit. And I'm like, but I like the brown suit.
The brown suit is his suit.
It really is. It's the better suit. I'm sorry. It just is.
Speaking of suits, we get the classic orange spacesuit.
Yep. Love to see it. And we're not going to see it for a long time after this.
It's gonna be a minute, y'all, but we'll get back to it. It's just gonna be a minute.
I'm still mourning the fact that we don't get Shuji Katwa in the orange suit.
Yeah, that man, I think everyone just realized what would happen if he wore that orange
Mm.
spacesuit. Like world peace would be achieved. And that's just like too easy.
Yeah, you're so right.
Something about this episode too is you see the very beginnings of Tin just starting to girl boss a little too close to the sun. Cause at first he starts telling Adelaide about her impact and about like her
Hmm.
granddaughter. And then he eventually gets to a point where he finally decides to leave because he's had so many opportunities to leave, by the way, to just let this be a fixed moment in time, but he just did not tear himself away from everything. And so it all leads up to this really incredible scene and confrontation between him and Adelaide. Like when everything is going haywire and it's super clear that like this is not good, they're not going to survive. Her confronting him and just being like, "Tell me, doctor, like what is it? You've had these big puppy dog guys all episode. Like what's going on?" And he tells her that today she dies and that everyone dies. And it's just the progression of him girl bossing too close to the sun. It's crazy because it starts so slow, but then it builds and builds to when Adelaide is like, but please, I can't die today. Because of course she says that. Anyone in her position would say that.
I love how he brings up Pompeii too as an example.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect example, honestly.
He takes what Donna taught him in Fires of Pompeii, but takes it way too far.
He takes it way too far. And this leads me to my question to you, Rebecca. What companion do you think the doctor needed in this episode?
Ooh.
And would they have been able to stop him?
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up because I actually before I answer that, I want to say that this is one of the companion light episodes that I think actually really benefits from a companion not being here.
Mhm.
Because if I think if they're one of the companions were here, unfortunately, they'd kind of just, because of the narrative, would be a little sidelined, not given a whole lot to do. On one hand, it could have given us a chance to get to know like Mia, Yuri, and Roman more, so that would have been nice. But I'm actually glad there's not a companion here because I just don't think there's any room in the story for there to be a companion. However, now on to your question, which companion do I think could stop him? Or like what was the question?
Like, what companion do you think he needed to like help rein
Oh,
him in?
okay. Ooh, part of me wants to say Donna, but I think Donna would be like, yeah, no, save them. Especially Donna not having like the larger historical context.
No, I agree with you. I really want to say Donna as well, but I don't think it would have been a good result. And I do just want to like sidebar for a second and say I completely agree with you that this is a companion light episode that I really have no qualms about there being no companion. I was just more posing this question because I'm curious and I feel like there's always this conversation of
Yeah.
like the whole reason this happens, or not the whole reason, but a small part of the reason this even happens is because he doesn't have anyone with him to help rein him in. I think if any of his companions would be somewhat helpful to rein him in, it would be Martha, actually.
I was gonna say Martha. I'm so glad we agree. Yeah, I could really see her like standing up in this episode and like she just always does a great job of like putting him in his place.
Exactly. Especially like if this was like end of series 3 Martha, series 4 Martha, she would know like, doctor, this is so wrong.
Yeah.
But honestly, really glad there was no companion to go through this trauma because if Martha
Yeah.
really was here, last thing she would need on her shoulders.
Oh, Martha would have to end up doing something crazy. Like she has to go out on the surface of Mars and like fix something.
No, honestly.
I love the conversation between the doctor and Adelaide Brooke. Like first she gives him the helmet and suit and tells him to go, and he's just like watching them pack up. David Tennant's job in this episode is to serve face, and he does it so well. Like I love him just like watching them all pack up, and then later he's just like in the suit walking across the planet listening to like everything happening on the base. That's one of my favorite parts of this episode, is him just like listening to everything that's happening, and like his face falls, when Roman gets like the drop of water, or when he hears about Steffi or anything like that. It's so good. But I love when he's like let's just call it an airlock. I don't know. He's in the airlock like right before he
Mm-hmm.
leaves the base. And he's talking about, I forget exactly what they're talking about, but Adelaide Brooke is like, well, who's gonna save you? You know? And he says Captain Adelaide Brooke. And I just love that moment. Like, yeah, he just knows like the kind of person that she is, and it's like, you're gonna let me go just because that's who you are. She's all upset and coming to terms with her fate, and she lets him go. And it's just such a good moment.
This entire episode, Lindsay Duncan, who plays Adelaide, and David Tennant act off each other so incredibly well. Like they are both just phenomenal, and she is the next level in this episode. And in this is one of the scenes in particular that is just so good because you can just tell all in her facial expression, just like the pleading that like, no, this can't be the day I die. But you also see the acceptance that she is
Yeah.
starting to experience, and it is just so good and so emotional and so moving. And when Ten just walks away, it's so emotional because, the rock gets destroyed. Adelaide has activated, or no, she hasn't activated the nuclear detonation yet, but she's gearing up to. It's just so emotional. And then 10 decides that Time Lord Victorious is
Mhm.
activated. Tell me all your thoughts on this moment.
Oh man, I love it. It really feels like the whole 10th Doctor's arc has been leading us to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a man who does this because he's tired of losing. He's tired of losing Rose, Martha, Donna, like everyone that he's lost. And I love like the audio snippets that they give us, like talking about how, the Time Lords, they used to like keep up the walls to parallel worlds, and like used to travel between parallel worlds, and the Time Lords used to do this and this, and they watched over things, but now they're gone and it's just him. And yeah, it's just really fascinating. And at first you're kind of there with him. He's talking like, all the Time Lords are gone and that leaves me. The laws of time are mine and they will obey me. Like, I remember the first time watching that being like, yeah, like, at 13, let's remember 13 being like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you are the only one left. You can take control now and do whatever you want. And then at the end of the episode, like seeing the consequences and realizing he really did try to like just completely change history just because he wanted to, and like how dangerous that can be and how far he went. But just this whole thing is so fascinating to watch, and I think it makes so much sense for his character as someone who's just lost everything time and time again and is sick of losing and is sick of being alone at this point.
I completely agree with every single thing you just said. And I'm really glad that you mentioned how you viewed it at 13 because I was going to bring it up too. I remember watching this episode at 13 and watching this episode now at 24.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got weirded out by my own age.
You're like, ah.
Like, the difference is so vast. Like, I remember watching The Waters of Mars for the first time and being like, he's still a hero. He's still,
Mhm.
he's still good. Like, yeah, he is the law. He is in charge of the laws of time and they will obey him. Like, work it. Now that I'm like me now, I see it completely opposite. Like, he is turned
Yeah.
into something that terrified Adelaide. It terrified Mia. It terrified Yuri. To have that is insane. He changed such a big moment in history and made it all about himself instead of respecting the laws of time and respecting Adelaide's legacy. And it all leads into her taking her own life because she knows how important her not being alive is for history.
Yeah, we really finally, all those like dark moments from the 10th Doctor that we've seen bits of from the past couple seasons, what he does to the family and Human Nature, Family of Blood, like all those dark moments, they really come into focus here, and like he's not holding back anymore with this, with the Time Lord Victorious. And even the arrogance of the 10th Doctor really
Mm-hmm.
really comes into full swing here. It's really like the worst of oh, you're the king of France, well I'm the lord of time, blah blah blah. Like, the way he's like, isn't anyone gonna thank me? And then he sonics Adelaide's door to open it, just like showing
Yeah.
off, like, oh, so arrogant. It's crazy.
Yeah, and having her tell him that, like, if my family changes, the whole of history could change. The future of the human race, no one should have that much power. And he just says, tough.
Tough.
Bruh.
Yeah.
He was honestly kind of getting on my nerves because I'm like, obviously, I remember this. I've watched this episode before, but sometimes I just forget how arrogant he
Yeah.
gets. And of course, everything has been leading up to this, and in my opinion this is such an important part of his arc and the closing of his arc, because the truth is he is like a very vain version of the
Mhm.
Doctor.
Yeah, definitely. And he needed to be like knocked down a few pegs, and
Yeah.
realize like what he was doing. And watching that scene when he takes them all home, watching that from like Roman or Yuri's perspective, imagine just like this random, first off, this random man shows up at your job. Then like all this crazy stuff happens. Then like he kind of saves you on his ship, which is like insane. And then he's just like in the snow and being like, "Oh, snow. I love snow." Like that is a horror movie to them. Like this insane man. Like that is saved them, but also like it's crazy.
Yeah, because when he's saving them back on the base on Mars, like he's literally doing it with glee.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course they're terrified and petrified, and Mia's reaction really is just such a good representation of that.
Mhm.
Oh, also him being like, you know, I've
I've
done
done
this
this
sort of thing.
before.
Yeah, in small ways, save some little people, but never someone as important as you. Oh, I'm so good. Little people?
Yeah, I love how she says that. Little people. So
Mm-hmm.
good. And yeah, it is crazy like really seeing how arrogant he has become and like the idea of like little people like what that's something you would never think of the doctor to say and yeah,
It underscores all of it, honestly.
it really does. Do you remember what your reaction was to seeing her go inside and realizing that she kills herself?
Yeah, keep in mind I was 13 when I watched this. I did not catch on to what the flash of light meant at the end of the episode with her taking her own life. I can't explain why my 13-year-old brain, like someone had to like point it out. Like I saw it pointed out and I was like, that makes so much more sense. Okay. Like I didn't know what it was. Like I just wasn't critically thinking in that moment, I guess. But
Gotcha. That's
yeah.
really funny to me.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little
I
embarrassing.
it's okay. We're holding your hand as you say this. It's okay.
Thank you. Thank you so
Um
much.
I can't remember my initial reaction. I think I originally thought it would like hurt her legacy, but now
Mm,
like I already talked about the way things happen, I think it almost benefits her just because of the explosion happened and everyone died and no one really knew. I can see the things people would say about her. So yeah, having like Mia and Yuri I think really benefits her. But yeah, it's a really dark decision. And
yeah.
a part of me is like, well, the doctor's right. Like she could just inspire her granddaughter herself, but it's so fascinating to me that the reason the doctor goes too far is because someone had to take history into their own hands. Like he's supposed to be the one that protects history and makes sure things happen the way they're supposed to be. Fixed points, stay fixed points. But now he's burdened her with the knowledge of the future and what her family does in generations and generations to come. And now she has the burden of making sure that still happens at the cost of her own life.
100%.
Yeah. It's, yeah. And I love that that's what makes him realize he's gone too far. And then we see the Ood.
Ood Sigma popping up,
Yeah.
and Ten is like, "Is it now? Is
Is it
this my time?"
time?
And then
Wait,
he's just like, "No," at the end.
no, not yet. Oh, yeah, I love that. Like him just like seething in the TARDIS once again, serving
Mhm.
face. And then he just
Yeah.
says no. And he just, goes off. It's like watching an addict, really. He's just like running away from his
Mm,
problems. It's so good. And I think where we see him at the start of End of Time fits perfectly well with his arc.
yeah, and we will be there so soon.
Hmm. It was so hard not to watch End of Time immediately after this. I'm
Yeah.
not used I like normally watch this, okay, immediately play End of Time, but it made me really excited to watch it. But I am really excited to see the Master again, to be honest.
Honestly, I really am too. There's moments I'm actually really looking forward to
Oh yeah.
discussing and watching again. It's been so long since I watched it, so I
Hmm.
can't wait. But Rebecca, who is the star of this show? in this episode. It's obvious.
Captain Adelaide Brooke, come on. She's so
Yeah,
iconic. There's a reason she's stayed iconic for all these years, and she really carries this episode. And she's fascinating. And I want to meet like Brooke descendants.
please. That would be so fun.
What is the heart of this episode?
I think the heart of this story is honestly don't trust a man in an orange spacesuit.
Mm,
Also, fixed moment and times are important. And when you come across a man in an orange spacesuit talking about changing those fixed moments in time, stay away from him.
yeah. I think the heart of the story is when your friend Donna tells you in Pompeii to save someone, she's not asking you to change all of history, and you took things a little too far and you broke your own like compass from a couple episodes ago.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you have any reviews from the past?
I do. And they're from IMDb. And the first one is by the user Glenn-299, written on November 16th, 2009. And they rated this episode a 4 out of 10, saying, "What we have here is your basic traditional zombie film plot. The doctor and others are trapped in an environment from which they can't escape. First, one person is infected, then another, and the heroes barricade themselves in. Anyone touched becomes a zombie. Geez, it's just Night of the Living Dead all over again. This could work if the dialogue was witty and interesting, and if the characters were better defined and developed, but it isn't, and they aren't. There's an interesting attempt at the beginning to create some friction between the captain and her second in command, but it doesn't go anywhere. When Doctor Who is at its best, it features intricate, interesting, well written plots. This isn't one of them. Fresh writing blood is urgently needed."
I think someone kind of missed the point. I can understand the criticisms of like not really fleshing out the dynamics of this crew, and I do wish we got more of it, but I think
Mhm.
because we just came off of Planet of the Dead where the ensemble is like there, but for what reason no one knows, it felt like such an improvement in this episode. But I do wish, it never really gets to be as good as it was in Impossible Planet Saiyan Pit.
Yeah, the dynamics could have definitely been fleshed out more, but I do think this is a pretty decently fleshed out crew, especially when we get
Yeah.
like the article flashes and the focus is Adelaide Brooke, so it makes a lot more sense. It's not like everyone else is the primary focus.
I agree. They're better than some other ensembles we get.
For sure. All right, this last review is by the user Andrew_N_NH, and it was written on November 15th, 2009. And he rated this episode 10 out of 10 stars, saying that this episode covers a wide range. It made me laugh out loud and it made me cry. It had a silly robot. It touched on very human reactions to an uncanny event. It had some excellent performances from David Tennant and Lindsay Duncan, but that's hardly surprising. Finally, we have an act of selfless bravery in the face of something we have seen in the series before, but that I never expected to see this way. If you've been watching for the last 4 years, you may remember the Doctor uttering the phrase, "There's nothing so extraordinary as an ordinary man." Look for him to return to that phrase and for its memory to make the scene and the story into something entirely new. The episode is scary, but not quite in the old hide behind the couch way. I wonder just how many kids will refuse to bathe after seeing this story. And that's the end
uh
of the review.
yeah, I mean this episode has really stayed iconic over the years. A lot of people, for them it's their favorite episode. They think
Mhm.
it's the best episode, and it's hard to argue with that. Like,
It really is.
she really is that girl.
She is that girl. She is not overhyped,
No.
in my opinion. Like,
If
she
anything,
is perfect.
I like watching it. I'm like, if anything, we underrate this episode.
Oh, 100%. This episode is so good. Such a standout from the entire show, honestly.
Yeah. It's like what I said earlier when we started talking about the specials. I either said this last week or in the next Doctor, where sometimes I'm like, were the specials worth it? Like, did we really need to do all that? And yeah, it's worth it to get the waters of Mars.
100%.
But that is all we have for you guys this week. But we will be back next week with End of Time Part 1.
But until then, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at TimeyWimeyPod.
And email us anything and everything to timeyimeypod@gmail.com.
And with all that said, we will talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.